Hello and welcome to the Daily Royal. My name is Shelby and I have been a royal watcher for the past 10 years. In this podcast, I talk about the daily events of 7 of the European monarchies. So I talk about Belgium, the UK, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, Spain, and Sweden. I upload Monday through Friday with occasional bonus episodes here and there. Today we are going to be talking about all of the events from Wednesday, June 9th of 2021. You guys, I'm recording really late. It's like 8:25 p.m. I'm typically recording at 7:30. I don't know what happened. I just hit a wall a little bit. For those who didn't listen to yesterday's episode, I am putting all of 2021's episodes on YouTube as well, for reasons that I will probably talk about at the weekend, if things don't resolve themselves. Basically, I'm having issues with, the podcast host that I use, and, I'm currently still using them, and I've been very happy and all of that, but, there's some issues going on, so we'll see what happens. It's just been a very stressful week with that going on, and then this project, it's not that it's hard work, it's genuinely not, it's just very time consuming to upload however many episodes there have been this year, which I really don't know, to YouTube. It just takes time. So I'm getting through about 2 months a day. I'm hoping to finish tonight, at least all of 2021's episodes. We'll see. I don't even know what I'm gonna do about 2020's because I have them saved all. I have all of them. But they just need more editing because they have, ad reads and stuff in the downloads, in the copy I have. So I just need to edit stuff out. And that takes longer, of course. Whereas with 2021, I just have what you're hearing minus any ad breaks or anything like that. If you're hearing any, I don't know right now. So anyway, that's a little bit about what's going on. It's just been chaotic and kind of stressful, and I'm not entirely sure what's happening. I'm still waiting on Anchor to get back with me about what's going on with my podcast stuff. It's just been a really chaotic week, and it's Wednesday. So that's what I'm working on. So please go over to the YouTube, subscribe, check out the episode there. I know if you're listening, you're obviously listening on a podcast platform more than likely. But, please help with that, as that's seeming to be the way this is going to go now. I will continue to upload onto podcast platforms, but simultaneously I'll be uploading the episodes to YouTube. And in time, when I have more of a grasp on editing and copyright and things like that, I will add some clips and stuff to said podcast. But as of right now, we're not there yet. Right now, it is just the episode with the logo, and nothing else going on. I'm not going to record myself. I had thought about it. But 9 times out of 10, I'm chilling on my couch recording this, and no one needs to see that. So we'll see. It's just a weird time right now as I am trying to figure everything out. So, that is a little bit about what's going on. So now we are going to jump in and start, with the Belgian royal family. In Belgium today, there was one event So today, Queen Mathilde held a digital conversation with students at, I believe it's the University of Liège, which is a town in Belgium, and they were focusing on, so it was like the Office of Green, like, environmental sustainability and stuff. And they were talking about the Sustainable Development Goals and creating a more sustainable university. And so this goes to Queen Mathilde's role as an ambassador for the SDGs, and specifically her focus has been on education. So this is very much in line with that. You guys, also still totally not over her visit to the Belgian national basketball team thing yesterday. Like, still, we're like 36 hours later, and I still find the video to be the best thing I've ever seen. So that's fun. And I know there is something going on tomorrow in Belgium. I can't remember if it's just one thing. I think it is. It should be an interesting little bit there. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, also, there was this thing, and I wasn't going to talk about it because they haven't shared it, but they haven't really shared any of the Queen Elizabeth music competition stuff that I've been talking about. So tonight in Belgium, there was a concert for the Queen Elizabeth music competition that was the top three performed a concert. So I haven't watched it. I couldn't get the link to work when I was trying. I know Queen Mathilde was there. I think King Philippe was there. It also looked like former King Albert II was there, so King Philippe's father. But I just saw one picture of him. But, like, I'm pretty confident that he was there. So, but I don't know if anyone else was there. I don't know if any other, like, if Queen Paola was there or anybody else. But, so that happened. I'm hopeful that they'll release some pictures tomorrow since it was King Philippe and Queen Mathilde. But we'll see what happens. So, I did want to just briefly talk about that since I have been talking about every other, like, Queen Elizabeth music competition performance thus far. And then it does look like there is a few events going on for the rest of the week, which is super exciting. So that is what was going on. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to the British royal family. Everything was very quiet with the British royal family today. No, that's a lie. Things were very dramatic. We are actually not going to talk about the drama, though. I'm well aware that it's happening. I'm well aware that almost all the drama that's happening between all the royal, the royal families, I just hardly ever talk about it, but, like, I kind of can't. I'm trying very hard to keep my mouth shut on this one. Let me just say that. Maybe someday. But there were some events going on that had nothing to do with anything else. So today, Queen Elizabeth continued her receiving credentials from ambassadors. Today, she held a virtual audience with new ambassadors from Nepal and from Mexico. And this is something I have known for a while, but, like, it was really interesting to see it written out in English. So I'm so used to seeing it in Spanish. And I don't know if the rest of the world calls Mexico this, or, like, if this is just because it's the official name. But did you all know that Mexico is actually called the United States of Mexico? Like, does everybody know that? So, like I said, I've known this for a while, but I've only really heard it said in Spanish. So, like, Estados Unidos de Mexico. But, like, And today they wrote it out on the royal family Twitter account, and it was very surprising to me. But anyway, that was interesting to me. Just because, like, I don't know if people know that or if it was just me who didn't know that and, like, the rest of the world does know that and I just didn't. Like, I don't know. But it was interesting to me. So that happened, and then today the Prince of Wales visited Cornwall, which he is also the Duke of Cornwall, for those who don't know. He's the head of the Duchy of Cornwall. That is where, like, his income essentially comes from, is the duchy. So he visited a couple of different locations. First, he visited the Rainbarrow Farm. They have a machine that is running on plant and animal waste, so as a greener solution. I was really confused by this, and there wasn't, like, I still don't really understand, but it's right up Charles's alley. And then he also visited the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, which is, of course, doing life-saving missions at sea, lifeboats. So that was his events. And then also today, the Duchess of Cornwall visited the Victoria and Albert Museum to visit an exhibit specifically focused on the Royal Academy of Dance, which Camilla is vice patron of. And so she was able to see that exhibit focused on ballet, which is lovely. And then I do want to go ahead and pull up the court circular. But while I'm doing that, because I seem to not be able to find my phone at the moment, so I'm going to pull it up on my iPad, which takes a little bit longer. I wanted to talk a little bit again about this whole Queen of England thing, because I keep seeing it going around. So today, the press secretary for the White House referred to Queen Elizabeth as the Queen of England. And I'm not defending it. Like, I wish people would use her right title. I think that that's really important. However, my entire life, I'm nearing 30, and my entire life she has been the Queen of England. I am well aware that that is not her title, but it is what we call her. Like, I know, and I don't know if it's an American thing and we just need to be better, or if it is, like, a generally accepted thing in the world and just in the royal community we're very picky about it. Like, I don't know which one it is, but if it's, we're just being picky about it in the royal watching community, can we all just relax? Like, this is not the end-all be-all. Like, Jen Psaki, who's the press secretary, there are things that, like, I wish she were better about, but this is not one of them. Like, quite frankly, it is not her job. I mean, she should be better, yes, but it is not her job to know every single monarch's title correctly. Like, that's for the State Department and the Foreign Affairs. Do I think the president's press secretary should get it right? Of course I do. Do I think that that is commonly used in the States and, like, widely accepted? Yeah, I do. Can we not cancel Jen Psaki for this? Like, this seems like a very small thing to me. So anyway, there was that. Okay, I've got the court circular pulled up. So we have the letters of credence. Oh, it's actually the ambassador from the United Mexican States. So not the United States of Mexico, although I've heard it said that way as well. And then it was Wednesday, so it was also the meeting with Boris Johnson. They have a weekly audience every week. It is held via telephone right now, as we are, living in a pandemic. And then This is fun. Probably only for me, but this is fun. They share who was present at the Cornwall airport to greet the President of the United States, who just landed in Cornwall today and is starting his first foreign tour. So that's very fun. Okay, and then we have the Prince of Wales events. So it looks like, additionally from what we have talked about, the Duchess of Cornwall also today received the incoming and outgoing CEOs of the Battersea Dog and Cats Home. So that's cool. And then the Duke of Cambridge, and then we're moving on to Kensington Palace. So the Duke of Cambridge, president of the Football Association, this morning held a meeting with the president of the Union of European Football. And then William held a meeting for the Earthshot Prize. And then also today, the Duchess of Cambridge, Joy Patron, held an early years meeting. So that is what was going on the court circular. There is one other thing that happened today, but I'm hoping that maybe the royal family will talk about it on social media tomorrow, because I want to talk about it well, and they didn't post about it today, so I'm hoping they'll talk about it tomorrow, and if they don't, I will talk about it because it's very special, and I do think it needs to be talked about. I just want to hold off a little bit. So anyway, that is what was going on in the UK today. So now let's go ahead and we are going to skip Denmark because the event today, it was just Queen Margrethe received the Israeli ambassador for a farewell audience, and there's nothing else I can say on it. So we are going to now go ahead and move over to the Dutch royal family. In the Netherlands today, there were actually a lot of events. So first we had King Willem-Alexander had a couple of different events. He swore in new ambassadors, which I'm still not sure what this means. So I don't know if it's Google Translate getting it wrong and it's actually like new government ministers, or if it's new ambassadors that are about to go out to their first posting. Like, I genuinely don't know. This is the second time that he has done this, and I just don't know what it means. I've tried to find out, and it's still I just still don't know. So anyway, that was his first event, and then he also today visited the Dutch Photo Museum, which he was supposed to do in January to open the Gallery of Honor there, which is dedicated to photographs of famous people from the Netherlands. So the one that I instantly recognized was Anne Frank. So for those who don't know, Anne Frank was a little girl during the war. She was Jewish. She lived in the Netherlands. And she lived in an attic for a really long time. There's a book called The Diary of Anne Frank, which is taken from her writings, I think. And like, my childhood is like, I very much remember, I don't know that I've ever actually read her diary. There was a movie in the States that was focused on this, and I remember watching that growing up, like, vividly, obviously because it was mildly traumatic, of course, but because she is Dutch, she of course is in this Hall of Fame because she was a Dutch Jew, and of course, you know, the whole history with Nazis and the Netherlands, and it was just bad. But that is the only person, like, I recognized from the photos that I've seen. I don't know a lot of famous Dutch people, so it makes sense to me. Like, I don't know a lot of famous people from any place, really. It's not just the Netherlands. Like, from the States, sure. From England, sure, but only if they've really made it in the States too. Like, I don't know cultural heroes for the 7 countries that I talk about every day. So anyway, that was King Willem Alexander's event, and of course this is also in support of the cultural sector that is continuing to reopen. And then today for Queen Máxima, there were actually a couple of different events. So the first one is she digitally visited the Princess Máxima Center for Pediatric Oncology. So this is actually like super normal to have probably public hospitals named for members of the royal family. In the Netherlands, I know there's like a ton in Spain named after members of the royal family, and they're all public hospitals, so it's just a way to honor them from the like public health system. So that but of course, because it is in her name, it does garner special attention from Queen Máxima. And clearly it was named for her when she was still the Princess of Orange, but of course it does still bear her name and former title. So that was her first event, but her second event, so today Queen Máxima received the Financial Health Visionary Award for her work as the UN Secretary General's Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance and Development. And this is just honoring her over 10 years now of service to the world of financial health. And so anytime that like a documentary special is done or like an interview is done focused on Maxima's work as the UNSGSA, people just applaud her. But also she herself has said like people want to impress her just because of her title. Like, I know if I were to ever have a meeting with any royal for any reason, like I would want to bring my A game because you want to have that impressive quality. So I think that just her being the special ambassador for this, like this is the whole point of it, is she's an expert in the field, for one. For two, people genuinely want to do well by her and impress her and like continually improve things because she's in front of it. This is why things like special ambassadors and using people's status is so important. Like, you get a famous name on something and it'll happen. It's why I'm such a big proponent of royals sharing their vaccination photos or even just sharing that they were vaccinated. Like, I think that is super important because it tells people like, hey, it's okay. The people who need that kind of influence, who aren't making the decision based on their own research or like don't have the time to research, because people don't have the time. And so they just see like, oh, the queen got it or the king got it, or, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have both gotten theirs and I really respect them, or whatever. Like, it's important. And so this is what Maxima's role has done. And because of that, like, the world of inclusive finance is better because of it. And so today she was honored for that. And I think that is really awesome. So that is what was going on today in the Netherlands. And we are going to skip Norway today. We're kind of like skipping around a little bit because in Norway, the event that happened was really super important. But they didn't release a lot of details as of yet. But today, Crown Prince Haakon and Crown Princess Mette-Marit met again with two people who were affected by the 2011 terrorist attack, this time in Oslo. So it happened in two locations. There was an attack on like the government ward essentially in Oslo, and then there was the attack at the camp. And so today they were talking to two of the people affected by the attack in Oslo. So again, I do think this will all kind of be put together at the end of July when the 10th anniversary is, you know, kind of these conversations, but also just like the ongoing support of the royal family for the people, for the victims of the attack and people whose lives have been forever changed because of it. I just think that it's, again, a continuously important thing, but when more information is shared, I think it'll all happen around that 10th anniversary. So that is what was going on in the Netherlands and Norway. So now we are going to go ahead and move on to the Spanish royal family. In Spain today, there were two different events. That's really how the week is going for them. It's like two events every single day or more. I know yesterday there were like 3 or something. How easily I forget. I genuinely don't remember. I think there were 3 events because none of them had to do with the other. So today, King Felipe and Queen Letizia attended an inauguration of another exhibit. That is also the theme for their week. Queen Letizia is doing 3 exhibit inaugurations this week. 1 yesterday, and then 1 today, and then another one tomorrow with King Felipe. Like, it's a lot. But this is also, like, what they do. This is one of the things that they do. They go to different cultural sites and inaugurate exhibits and explore them, and like it's very normal. They aren't usually all compacted together like this, but because exhibits have been in cultural like museums and things like that have been shut down, like things are all opening at the same time. So they're doing one tomorrow in Andalusia. Sorry, I forgot what the autonomous community was called. But anyway, today they inaugurated the exhibit for Luis Garcia Berlanga, who is a Spanish film director and screenwriter who was born in 1921, and his more formative works were done in the Franco era, so like the 50s and the 60s. And it's very interesting because Spain at this time, in like the 50s and the 60s, the world was just kind of accepting of the Franco regime. Like, we had gotten rid of everyone else, and only Franco really remained as, like, this dictator figure. And people just didn't really seem to pay a ton of attention to it. I'm sure Spaniards did, but, like, throughout the world, it was just kind of this widely accepted thing that, like, okay, Franco is Generalissimo. This is where we're at. I forget his other name. Cadillo or something like that. But, like, he was the guy, and it was just, like, widely accepted because Spain was semi-stable, probably for the first time in a long time. So, not that they were super stable by any means, but they were a little bit. But the Franco regime was so censoring of material that this particular director and screenwriter somehow managed to get something through the censorship that, like, probably wouldn't have been allowed, but it was called, I think, it was something with miracles. And it was about this town that like created a miracle in their town to, or attempted to create tourism, because that's how some towns were surviving, was on tourism at this point. And it just backfired horribly. And so like, I don't know, it was just a very interesting thing, from them. But anyway, it was to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth. And so it is an exhibit. It's held at the Fine Arts, I think it's the Fine Arts Center in Spain. And so that was pretty cool. And then in the evening, King Felipe today delivered the Rey de España Awards, as well as the Don Quixote Awards for journalism. So it's like a 10 award symposium. I decided for the award title I would have the actual like Spanish version, because I don't know, I haven't practiced my Spanish enough today. I don't know, genuinely just these go to journalists who do really intense work, that spotlight a lot of different things. So that is what was going on today in Spain. And of course, during this, King Felipe gives a speech. His speeches on journalism are, I honestly haven't even read this one, but like, my guess is it focused on the importance of journalism and like the importance of the work, specifically in a pandemic where like doing harder hitting articles was a little bit harder to do, because the whole world was focused on the pandemic, is my take on everything. So that is what was going on today in Spain. And with that, I think we are going to go ahead and end this episode. There were a couple of events in Sweden, but none that I can talk a ton about. So Prince Daniel today delivered the Heart and Lung Foundation's large research grant. That's it. So I haven't seen any pictures or anything come out of this or a write-up on it yet. So yeah, there's nothing there yet. So with that, we are going to go ahead and end this episode, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a fantastic Thursday. Bye.